What was it like for Christ's body to be resurrected? One of the most powerful elements of the Christian story is that of surrender. Surrender does not appeal to us. We do not desire surrender. In our natural tendencies, fallen and corrupted, we grab for power, dominance, possession. The more we have, the more successful and realized we are. We want status. We want money, even in the seemingly innocent form of financial security. We want long life, recognition, individual autonomy, and freedom. Yet, Christ sought exactly the opposite. He entered creation as a man and subjected himself to the horrors of living in a world corrupted by sin. We often put the incarnation in soft terms, such as the Son humbled himself and came in flesh. I think it would be better to think of the incarnation as coming in humiliation. Now let's focus on this aspect of physical surrender. While Jesus is both fully God and fully human, and how that works is mysterious, he had to give up a lot to live a life on earth. He stepped down from his heavenly throne to live a rough life as a traveling teacher. He had a body taking on pain, disease, damage, imperfections, stink, acne, hormones, sunburn, hunger, and so forth. Approaching death, he was resigned to the inevitability of his impending doom. He knew his death was coming, even telling his disciples, and he did not stray from it or act to prevent it. For sure, he was not excited about dying. Suffering and death were not any easier for him than they are for any of us. However, he knew what his death meant. In his torture and killing, Christ's body had been ripped apart, mangled, bled, and violated. He was a repulsive sight, which only worsened after his death when decomposition set in. He decayed, bacteria set in upon his flesh, he emitted a foul stench. It's disgusting, but it is crucial to remember. It had to be physical. He came to us in flesh and sacrificed his flesh for us. Then his resurrection was just as physical. He did not come back as a ghost or spirit, but again as a man. His body was restored. It was not just put back together, but it was glorified, being more human than any of us are capable of being or understanding. There's a poem by John Updike that captures the physicality of the resurrection. Its title is 7 Stanzas for Easter. Make no mistake, if he rose at all, it was as his body. If the cell's dissolution did not reverse, the molecules reknit, the amino acids rekindle, the church will fall. It was not as the flowers, each soft spring recurrent. It was not as his spirit in the mouths and fuddled eyes of the 11 apostles. It was as his flesh, ours. The same hinged thumbs and toes, the same valved heart, that pierced, died, withered, paused, and then regathered out of enduring might. New strength to enclose. Let us not mock God with metaphor, analogy, sidestepping, transcendence. Making of the event a parable, a sign painted in the faded credulity of earlier ages, let us walk through the door. The stone is rolled back, not papier-mâché, not a stone in a story, but the vast rock of materiality that in the slow grinding of time will eclipse for each of us the wide light of day. And if we will have an angel at the tomb, make it a real angel, weighty with Max Planck's quanta, vivid with hair, opaque in the dawn light, robed in real linen, spun on a definite loom. Let us not seek to make it less monstrous, for our own convenience, our own sense of beauty, lest, awakened in one unthinkable hour, we are embarrassed by the miracle and crushed by remonstrance. Now, I don't have time to wade through this poem. I've already taken enough time just to get to it. But one major aspect to note is the physicality, the scientific realism. In the first stanza, we have cells, molecules, and amino acids being restored. We have a valved heart and hinged thumbs, a real angel, given mass with reference to Max Planck, who laid the foundation for quantum theory, which includes discoveries about photons and the mass of light. Updike forces the reader to contend with the scientific realities we now know must have occurred for the bodily resurrection of Christ. I also want to point out his image of a physical resurrection process not being beautiful. I think we often see pictures of Christ on the cross with a face in pain, but not in physical agonizing pain. It's pained only in a spiritual sense. We see it glowing, we see it saddened, but not screaming involuntarily. When lowered from the cross and put in the tomb, there are cuts, bruises, and holes, but not enough to make you look away. Then, with the resurrection, we skip over the physical repair and how horrifying it would be to watch a body reconstruct itself after destruction and deterioration. Updike likens this beauty to convenience. It is less monstrous and therefore less grand, reducing the miracle. So let us remember the physicality of the crucifixion and resurrection. The body of the Savior had gone through ruin and dishonor, but likewise the resurrection undid them. Christ arose bodily, glorified. He surrendered himself to the confines of a body so he could defeat death and decay.